Hello, welcome back. Today we are working on how to write a letter. And this is probably not a completely new topic to any of you. Maybe it is. But there are a few main parts of a letter that you need to know, you need to include. And this stuff is also helpful when you write an email. So this is all good things to learn. So you should have your writing notebook. Today we are just taking notes on how to write a letter. And then tomorrow we will get started with actually writing one. Okay? So at the very top of your page, and if you wanted to add something into your table of contents, you can take care of that on your own. Virtual kids, my in-person kids have table of contents. So we're all kind of in a different place right now. So wherever you are in your writing notebook, just please make sure you are taking notes. So at the top, you can write, just like I am, how to write a letter. All right. So make sure you take your notes with me because when you write your own letter this week, I will expect all of these components to be in your letter. All right, the very first thing when you write someone a letter, and when I was younger, I know people wrote letters more often than they do now because we didn't have email and text messaging. So when I wanted to hang out and talk to my cousins, I could not call them unless my parents let me use the phone. I would write them letters. So you get an envelope, you'd address it to someone, get your stationery out, and the first thing you always want to write at the very top is the date that you wrote the letter, okay? Because the person might not get the letter the same day you wrote it. It might take a week to get there. So that you want your reader to know when you wrote the letter. So you will write the date. So that always goes in the upper right-hand corner. So I'll put in parentheses what's supposed to be there. And then we'll put the actual date next to it. Okay. It won't always be November 17th, but it is today. November 17th, 2020. So when you write a letter, obviously we're not going to have this title at the top, right? And we're not going to have the word date written here. But for your notes, I need you to know that you always write the date right there. Okay? The second thing, so we're going to shift over from over here, over here. Okay? And this red line helps you kind of stay in the middle of your page. You don't ever want to be writing over here. Okay? This is empty space. So right next to the red line on the left side is where you put your greeting. All right? So your greeting, you don't actually write greeting. That's what we call this portion, okay? So you usually write, dear so-and-so, all right? So that is called your greeting. Does anybody know what has to go at the end after this person's name? Has to be a comma, okay? Always. Dear so-and-so, comma. All right? So we've got three important things. We've got the date, we've got the greeting, followed by a comma, okay? Those are all expectations of any letter you write. Now the next chunk of a letter is where you actually write what you're going to say, okay? So, and you don't just want to be all unorganized all over the place. So you still kind of want to have a plan for writing just like when you write anything. So usually when you write a letter, you don't just start off blasting away into your story. Usually you ask someone how they're doing, hope you're well, all that good stuff, kind of small talk, okay? So we will just call that body one. Or we can just really call it body, okay? It's the body of your letter. So you always indent and start writing over here. And we're pretending I'm writing. Writing. Now that should not all be one long sentence, but at the end of all my sentences there should be periods. Okay, now I need to write a new paragraph though because I'm shifting topics. Okay, up here let's say I was just, asking how they were doing, telling them the basics of what I've been doing. But now I'm going to get into something more specific. So I'm going to start a new paragraph. Every time you start a new paragraph, you indent. Should write that up here too. An indent just means you scoot your writing over to show that you've started a new paragraph. So this new paragraph is going to start here, and then we come back over here. And if you look at any book, that's how all books are written. And I'm wondering if anybody at home, do you guys know how to do that on a computer? How to indent? All right, I'll write that note over here to the side. You might want to write this down. To indent a new line, press tab. Okay? So this is kind of like a sidebar, a little side note for you. But when you're typing your letters online, or really any sort of typing, when you need to indent, you push tab. Okay? All right, so let's review what we've got so far. We have our heading, which is the date. Okay? You always put the date. And then we shift to the other side for our greeting, which is dear whoever. Okay? Followed by a comma. The body is full of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many paragraphs you want. But every time we start a new paragraph, we know we have to indent. That shows our reader that we're starting a new paragraph. All right. So once you're done with all your writing, your whole letter is finished, there are 2 more things you have to include. One is called your closing. And our closing all goes back over here on the right side. So this is called the closing. And there are several different words you can use or phrases for your closing. Sincerely, it's a very popular one. You can say warmest wishes, best regards, your friend. So for now, we're just going to use sincerely, okay? Sincerely, comma, okay? Just like up here, dear so-and-so, comma. After sincerely or whatever closing you use a comma. And then beneath that is where you put your name, okay? And they would like your signature. Now, I know we don't all know cursive, but as you become an adult, you will write your name in cursive down here, just like that. So, review one more time. You have your date, you have your greeting followed by a comma, then you write your letter with each paragraph indented over, and then at the end you have a closing, which can be sincerely. You could say your friend, best regards, and then finally your signature. And I will write that here for our notes. Okay, so those are just the basics of how to write a letter. For some of you, this may have been a little dull and repetitive. Some people just don't know these things yet. So for the rest of the week, we will keep practicing this. And then we do have a special project that we will actually be writing a letter for when we're done. All right, well, thank you all for joining me today, and have a good rest of your day. I'll see you soon.